Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alex Petrescu and today on 1st of May I'm trying to launch a finance and accounting education channel. Uh, I have a script. This is a script which I should follow. The lighting here is not very good. Maybe it will improve in time. I don't have any professional tools for doing these recordings. The webcam that I'm using is actually very bad. I think it's like 640 times 480. But maybe in time this will improve. I tried doing this recording earlier when supposedly there was more sun outside. Now there is absolutely no sun, but it was not better than this. And in approximately 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, we are expecting here in the beautiful Vienna a thunderstorm. If we are lucky, we will be ready by then. If not, you will hear behind me the thunders and you will see the lightning. But now let's start with the presentation basically with what I want to tell you. So I'm trying to launch this channel. I have a company here in Austria which is recently grounded, an EU Einzelunternehmen, meaning that I'm the sole owner and I'm the only proprietary of this company. It's an individual company, and I will go a little bit later through the history of how I got to this, starting this company and to launching this finance and education channel. But basically, I just want to introduce myself first, and then we will go forward. And in order to introduce myself, I have switched to a very short presentation. Basically, you can see here the idea of launching this finance and accounting education channel. My full name, although I go by Alex, and yeah, the EU, which basically my name with this EU denomination is my company. Now going to the basic question, which is, of course, who am I? Yes. So I have more than 14 years of experience in various companies and sectors, in IT, financial services and banking, in fast-moving consumer goods, and recently in gastronomy and hospitality, in companies such as General Electric, Money, Erste Bank, Unilever, Moto Group. As languages, I will for sure and for starters use a lot of English because this is the internet and this is the best possible choice. But I can also answer to your questions, and maybe in later stages we will also move to presentations in German or even in Romanian based on your requirements. I have exposure to various general accounting, so accepted accounting principles like IFRS, US GAAP, and UGB. This is the Austrian standard, so the Austrian standards. As corporate governance, also in Sarbanes-Oxley. In IT, I have a lot of experience with Microsoft Office, so basically Excel, but the other ones also. The Tableau software, SAP, Oracle, DVAO. This is an accounting software which is used by small and medium-sized enterprises here in Austria. From studies and certifications point of view, I hold a Master of Arts in Management, diploma, and a Bachelor of Science in Accounting. And I'm also, since 2016, a fellow of the Association of Chartered and Certified Accountants from United Kingdom. Now, I was telling you earlier that I will also present a little bit of history. So how did I got to this idea? But let's first change the camera view. So I'm back on the normal camera. Circa 2 years ago, I got to this idea, I noticed that I have a lot of spare time besides working for my last and current employer, and I thought that I can maybe use this time in a productive way. And the first idea was, of course, I have been all my professional life a controller or an FP&A professional. Maybe I can work in the FP&A roles as an individual, so as an independent contractor with various companies. I think it will help me further understand different companies, sectors, of course, improve my knowledge, build my network, gain new contacts, and so on. Of course, I tried. I wanted to do it legally, so there is no doubt about it. And I know that I needed a company. I came to this individual form of organization for my company, and I had to choose an area of activity, let's say. And although on paper it was very simple, I want to do what I have always done, but I wanted to do it as an independent and individual employee. And the funny thing is that here in Austria, they have this sector, how should I call them, organizations, and they said that for what I want to do, so basically FP&A, I need to be a consultant. So in the economic sector consultancy, and of course there are requirements. I said, okay, which requirements? And they said, okay, first education, that was absolutely no problem. Then experience in controlling or in FP&A, that was also no problem. And then we came to the problematic aspect that I had to have at least 1 year of experience in consultancy. So I should have worked for either one of the big fours, you know them already, KPMG, Ernst & Young, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and so on, or in a smaller one. In here there are the tax advisory, small tax advisory companies. They are very popular, and that was also an alternative. And although I went through multiple sectors in my professional career, I did not work for exactly a company that had as activity this consultancy. That was one of the alternatives for this problem. The second one would have been to actually have held an official managing director position for a company, which I also didn't held before. And the third option was to pay at least part-time for a director, which was like also completely unacceptable for me, because I said I want to have this company because I'm trying to make a little bit of money for myself, and my point is not to pay somebody else, and it's totally unacceptable. I don't know in the beginning if it will work. Paying a fixed salary for somebody, it sounds like a very bad business plan. And I tried contacting various authorities and asking and finding workarounds and legislation and how can I still do it and so on and so forth, till I discovered that if the business consulting is so regulated and so hard to get in this area of activity, training has absolutely no regulation. So basically anyone can come and say they are a trainer in any field they want. It was very funny because they were actually writing in these guidelines that if it's either for mature, so for adults, or for children, it doesn't matter, anybody can do it. And I said, okay, that's not very far from what I want to do. Officially, consultants means that you take a look at a situation, an actual situation, and you propose solutions. Training would mean trying to help others learn new ways of solving problems, so finding solutions to their problems. So I said that okay, it's not very far. I started choosing my topics. So I launched the company. I'm in training area very easily. I choose the topics. I started thinking if I want to do this in German because I live in Austria, and I thought that okay, I have a market here and Germany is around the corner, and also Switzerland. Then I said that maybe I will translate everything in English as well, and I need to contact the companies. And I was thinking that of channels, of means and ways of contacting companies and basically presenting my offers and what I can do for the companies in this area of training in finance and accounting. And then the pandemic started, and I realized that the market here is not that large. Okay, if we add Germany, maybe it's a little bit bigger. But I realized by staying a lot at home and being on the internet that there is a bigger fish to fry, to catch first and then to fry, because we have internet at our disposal. And I revamped everything that I had in my mind before. I started doing presentations in English, so building the training materials. Um, Probably I will translate them at some point if it's necessary, but I've found other channels of distributing my trainings and my ideas, and um, basically launching this finance and accounting education channel that I intend to launch. And so this is basically from the history point of view. How did I got here? Now I will switch a little bit to the value proposition. So basically why I think I'm the right person to do that. That means we will go back to the presentation. So basically from my point of view, there are like three groups. Okay, there are also in-betweens, and the things are not always black and white, but there are three groups that can help somebody understand finance and accounting. First is in my opinion, the professor, so the university professor. It's a classical group. We all know they have a lot of theoretical knowledge. They can explain very well. This is what they have done all their lives. Basically, they have been university teachers mostly, but okay, they can work in training companies as well, and not only university level and some other forms. But his problem is, okay, there are exceptions to this, but for most of them, the problem is that they don't have that much contact with the real world, with the companies and what actually happens in the economy. And they don't know if their knowledge, or even if it is used in business environment. I'm saying there are some exceptions because some of these teachers have also consulting companies. So they do a lot of consultancy, and they get in contact with the real companies that operate in the economy as well. So that's one of the groups. The second group is made by professionals on the right side of the slide. Some of them, not all of them, have a lot of practical experience. Of course, the ones that have worked a little bit more than, let's say, an entry-level positioned employee. But they also have a problem in that they cannot explain their knowledge and also their, let's say, the way they are doing the things in real life, because they also didn't have very good academic background in the past. And let's face it, not everybody is graduating with magna cum laude first of his year or things like that, and they tend to act, many of them, automatically. They just take over some activities from somebody. They are taught how to do it, they are doing it farther, and they don't know why they are doing it. it happened many times. I had actual life situation, like where you go to somebody in accounting and you are trying to do a mapping of the processes, and they are describing what they are doing, and you are asking them why they are doing it like that and not in a different way, or how did they reach to that method and so on, and they cannot really clarify why is it like that, and who asked about it, and how is their work used further, and all these considerations. And that's why they are also in a weak spot, because they have practical experience, but they cannot very well pass the knowledge forward. And then the third group, into which I'd like to include myself, would be the professionals, which is on the bottom of this slide, would be the professionals with strong academic background, which means that first we had very good, so this group had very good academic results. They studied well, they know what they have studied and why. They are using that knowledge in their professional activity. They have also a lot of professional experience, can explain very well what's going on because they understand it very well. And in my opinion, this group is the best, so it's in the best position to pass the experience and the knowledge forward better to people that are interested. Now I will stop the presentation of these slides, and I will go back to the normal camera. Okay, so we are back. Talking about a little bit of about the infrastructure, so how I'm planning right now to do this. Of course, I intend to make it in a flexible way and adapt it based on your feedback and your wishes. But I intend to start, so this presentation or this movie is for YouTube. I know YouTube is more like an entertainment place. There won't be a lot of let's say serious academic or professional experience content here. Here we will have more fun. I will use this as a teasing channel, so I will announce every time I'm releasing a presentation on which topic, and maybe I will talk a little bit about it here, but we can also talk about various things here. Then I intend to have the academic part, unfortunately, behind the paywall on Udemy. So my understanding is that right now Udemy is the biggest platform for online teaching. Also on Patreon. Patreon is mostly for artists. I can see myself as an artist. If somebody wants, the difference is that on Udemy you need to buy a class, so a presentation, a course. On Patreon you can have a monthly subscription and get access to all the content that I intend to provide. Okay, there are others which I intend to use or to look into them. One would be Twitter, and okay, I already have a LinkedIn on which I will announce when I have new content released anywhere on all of these free platforms that I already presented. Twitter, because deep down I hope I will get an American audience as well. It's not very popular in Europe, unfortunately, Twitter, from my understanding, but I will do it just to announce that I have released new content. LinkedIn I have already mentioned. I intend to look into Reddit and Quora. I understand that Quora is like a platform for questions and answers. Reddit is also a discussion platform where you can launch topics, and so it's not very rich in presentations, in videos, but just writing, answering questions, whatever you want to ask me. Clearly, platforms that are outside the scope will be Facebook and Instagram, due to the academic and intellectual planned content of my endeavors. Even on YouTube, they don't really match that well. my intents. As I have said on YouTube, and basically I'm launching this as a finance and accounting education channel, focusing on the corporate aspects of finance and accounting. But as I have said before, I will be flexible and take any feedback that I receive from you, any suggestions into consideration, and at least on YouTube, maybe on the other ones not really, but at least on YouTube we can move into other topics that are of great interest for you. So personal finance, so like financial education, how do I manage my debt, credits, how do I invest in what these days, talking about economics, so macroeconomics so globally or in specific countries, microeconomics, companies, if you want to talk about companies, Tesla, and so on, trends in the economy and not only in technology, you name it. If you have interest, I will try to avoid the political topics, although it will be very difficult because let's say the economy is very much influenced by politics, so it's very difficult to separate them, but I will try to avoid such topics. And just as I have said, I'll be flexible. Now I said that on Udemy and Patreon the content will be behind a paid wall, but I'm also flexible in this regard, meaning that if my viewers will be on the YouTube channel, and if this goes great in terms of likes, subscriptions, advertising, so publicity income and so on, and the people are not very interested in seeing the taught courses behind the paywall, maybe I will move them here on YouTube, and basically the market dictates what I'm going to do in the following months and years. Yeah, as I have said, in language we will keep to English mostly because it's better on the internet. Everybody's, or most of the people speak English and understand English. It's better in terms of defining the market for myself. Now I want to talk a little bit about my concerns, basically the opportunities and threats of doing such a launch and trying to have such a type of online business in this area of activity. And I will switch back to showing you a chart, and I will try to clarify the way I see things in this area. Basically, what I wanted to show is a normal IQ distribution. We don't need to see it as IQ related. It can be academic level related, it can be level of understanding related. The point is very simple. According to this, 85% of the people are below 115, and only 15%, a little bit more than 15% actually, are above 115. If we take Pareto, is the 80-20. So my concerns during this period, and I'm remaining with this concern still, I see how this works, are very simple. There will be around 80-85% of the people that don't understand what I'm talking about, and it will be very hard to capture their attention and interest for my channel and for what I have to say. And there will be 15% of the people, or 20% of the people, that will have the level of understanding for what I'm about to present you and to teach. But my concern is always that maybe they already know what I have to say. Maybe they somehow experienced similar things, not exactly, it's basically impossible to have the same experiences, but they know what I'm talking about, and it will not be very interesting for them. So I'm trying to balance between, so these are my two greatest fears, the fear of not being understood and the fear of having a part of audience that says you already know about that, so it's nothing special in what you have to teach. I took a look a few months ago on Udemy. Basically, I wanted to see what kind of Excel, and Excel is one of the topics that I want to present, what kind of Excel courses were there, and I was very happy to find out that there is absolutely that nothing that can come even close to what I'm about to present. So the approach that I have and what I intend to post there. First of all, there were a few courses that were taught in some languages that are not really international, so they cannot be accessed by a very large audience. And the other ones, they lack the value proposition. Who's teaching them and why and what they contain? I mean, when I say, for example, that I'm a finance professional and we probably use Excel the most, and I have a solid experience in multinational, regional, large companies and in startups, and 14 years of experience in using Excel, and I can show you exactly what you need from Excel and how to use it. I think that is a very strong value proposition that cannot be matched by somebody who just wants to show you two functions and they don't even know why. Now, as I have said, this is an IQ distribution, but you can take it as a understanding distribution, as an intellectual level distribution. You can take it as you wish, and you can draw the line a little bit to the right, you can draw the line a little bit to the left, but there is always this possibility that the audience is formed out of people that don't understand you, or they already know what you have to say. So this is, let's say, my greatest fear right now. But I will try to overcome my fears. And I'm back on the normal camera with my pandemic haircut, which is basically no haircut, as you might have already noticed. I'm sorry for that. Maybe it will change soon. Another topic that I wanted to talk, but I realized right now that I have already touched it, was the potential developments of this channel. That I said we can move into financial education, so personal finances, in investments and savings, economics, global, local, so companies, trends, investments, whatever you name it. But I have already touched this topic, so I will no longer go too deep into it. And next I wanted to present you the content I got so far, or I plan to have in no time. I have already done the recording for one of the courses. I will tell you exactly which one, but let's switch again to the presentation so that we can talk while seeing the themselves. So this is the topics list. I already did the presentation, so a recording of movie with the finance for non-finance yesterday. It's about 1.5 hours. I'm telling in this presentation that it's the point number 12 because I had 11 other, actually 12 other ideas before it. But I started with presenting the finance for non-finance because it's one of the topics that is farthest away from being very specialized in my approach. So trying to pass some knowledge to the people that don't have any knowledge in finance, and they intend to, or they are about to come in contact with finance and accounting, or intensify their contact in the next period, and they need to understand this very weird people that work in finance and accounting. I can say that because I'm also an accountant basically, and that's called self-irony, and I can do that. Thank you. But now coming back to the topics, as I have already said, I have 2 Excel ideas, so a 101 or an introductory one, which is a really good for somebody who didn't have anything to do with Excel before. And an advanced one, which is for the people that had something to do with Excel before, but they never got past cell A plus cell B. It's goes very deep in various areas, and we talked there about macros, pivot tables, complex functions, you name it. Basically, as I have said, the value proposition is that you see here everything that a finance professional working in top companies had to use in Excel in more than 15 years. So I don't think there are many other people on the planet that can give you better advices and show you which tricks and what features of Excel you should actually learn and use in your activity. After this, we will move to the more specific points. Everybody knows P&L. Some people know also about balance sheet and other reports, a very important report in finance and accounting. But cash flow is somehow sent on the third position from various reasons. I'm explaining in these presentations why, but one of them focuses on how to build a cash flow for your actual results, and the second one focuses on building a cash flow forecast, or a plan, a budget, or you name it, which is very interesting and very important in many cases. I found it very interesting and very useful during the pandemic, and you will see things here that are not normally taught in the university. University focuses a little bit on this actual forecast, so how actual cash flow. So basically, why did our cash positions change in the past and not how they will change in the future. Then with 4 we have the business cases, which are very powerful instruments which are used in performance management. Whether you launch a new product, whether you have a promotion, a new channel, you plan to do a tender for a specific activity, a new activity, you name it, you will always do a business case. Basically, it will be trying to isolate this activity and see if it's really worth doing it or not. There are also here 2 approaches based on the reports that we are using in finance. One is based on P&L approach, and the other one is based on a cash flow approach. We will go into more details in this presentation. Then another one is called investments and credits. I was just thinking that this one, especially the credit parts, can also be used as a base for financial education, because you usually go to a bank and you receive some payment schedule for the bank, and they say you have to, for your credit, you have to pay so much as a monthly installment, and you might have wondered how do they come up with these numbers. And basically, I'm explaining everything there. I'm also explaining about the investments. For the investments, it's very interesting because unlike for the normal business cases, for the investments, it's recommended to use the cash flow approach. And of course, investments are being financed either through equity or from credits, and that's why the 2 topics are here together. So what we do with the money and where do we get the money, basically. Another topic will be the balanced scorecard. This is a very modern approach. Finance tends to stick to finance, to financial KPIs. Balanced scorecard comes with a modern approach, which basically says that, okay, financials are good and necessary, but it's not enough. there is a lot of criticism to the financials only approach, which is present in many companies due to historical reasons, because you need to have accounting, it's legally binding, and then you have financial information, and you tend to keep, or most of the companies tend to stay at this level, and they are ignoring other very important dimensions. And this, maybe there are other dimensions which are not captured in the balance scorecard, but the balance scorecard also captures, besides financials, three other dimensions. It captures the let's say the customer perspective, the internal processes perspective, and learning and development, so more like personal in this area, personnel, HR, so this dimension. As I said, maybe there are others, but this is the traditional approach for this balance scorecard. So yeah, maybe in other approaches there are other dimensions. Then we have this revenue segmentation, which you see is on hold. It's on hold mainly because it's a mixture of using Excel and Tableau. Tableau is a software for not for presentation work, but for visual analysis of data. It's drawing some very nice diagrams and graphs based on data. And because I don't have a Tableau course, and I don't know where to take it, if we should stay in less technical area of why does sales need a revenue segmentation, and how can we steer the business based on this, or we should make it very technical and move it in this direction of Excel, Tableau, or any other software, and how to do it in the finance department. Then we are going to talk about KPIs, or key performance indicators, focusing on on balance scorecard we are looking on 4 dimensions. In KPIs we are going to focus on a multitude of financial KPIs and what do they mean. And because you might meet them in your real life, if you want to buy some shares, you will find things like earning per share, or dividend yield, or market capitalization. And if you don't know what that is, this KPIs training is the place where you will find about that. Of course, there are multiple, so those are, let's say, the shareholders KPI that I just mentioned, but here we will also tackle the profitability KPIs, we will tackle the liquidity KPIs. The profitability, let's say, they are related to the P&L, so the profit and loss account. The liquidity ones are related to the cash flow, and then there is gearing, basically in which structure we are financing our business, what is the exact structure we use, the balance between equity and debt. And it's a long discussion here, and there are a few KPIs that can support us in this area. Then we will move to variable and fixed costs. This is a very important split. Okay, we will tackle also direct and indirect production and overheads costs, but this is a very important topic, because you can find out what is the break-even for your company. So basically the least amount of products or services that you need to produce and sell in order to have zero profit. So basically you should sell a little bit more, preferably more, in order to obtain a profit from your activity. Then we will go into the gross margins, gross margin sales contribution, or gross contribution, sales contribution, depending on whether we are looking at the cost from variable fixed perspective or from direct and indirect. We have in the P&L we have this intermediary profit layer, which is very important, and you can do very interesting and nice analysis based on it. Basically you will have if you are comparing two periods, or if you are comparing one period with a plan, budget, or a forecast, you will have different levels of for this indicator, and through this analysis you will be able to say, okay, I have gained or I have lost so much sales contribution because I have sold more or less, because I have sold more or less from the more profitable or less profitable products, because I have sold more or less products that are, or the costs of the products are different than what I expected in my plan or what I had in the previous period. Yeah, so it's a very nice analysis, and I would like to show you that as well. Then we move into SWOT. From all the topics here, not even the balance scorecard, but the SWOT is the farthest away from the finance, and for non-finance is also not very far, but the SWOT is the farthest away from classical finance and accounting. As you understand, it basically is a management technique which is used to identify the strengths, as the name says, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in a company. Why we are doing it, it's very easy. And I'm also saying in the presentation at the beginning, somebody who's working in performance management is best positioned to do something like this. Just like a manager, a top manager would be also very well positioned to do such an analysis, but maybe they don't have time to do it. And even if they want to do it, most likely it will end up in the performance management either way. The reason being that somebody who's working in performance management has an overview on the company, and can really help do a thorough analysis, as it is required in finance to be very thorough always with the numbers, do a thorough analysis of the company. And I have what's special about this presentation, because it's full in the literature about this concept, and you can find on the internet. First of all is that I'm proposing a systematic approach to it, so how to do it in real life. And yeah, just, I don't know, picking your nose and wondering, okay, what are the strengths of my company? Maybe it will not get you to such good results, and not very fast, but if you follow the method I'm presenting, you will get to immediate results, and you will understand why I'm doing it like that, and why I have done it in my professional activity like this. That's one. And the second one is because I always found it funny how this okay, we identify the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and the question is, how do we tackle them? And I always found let's say the solutions very funny and very theoretical, and less applicable in real life, and I'm proposing a different approach to this. So what do you do with these elements in real life? About finance and for non-finance we already spoke. Another one which is started, so if the revenue segmentation is completely on hold because I don't know in which direction to go, the dashboard is already started. The idea is very simple. We tend to do in finance a lot of reports with a lot of numbers. If we are a bit better than that, we are also doing presentations, we are doing analysis, we are drawing conclusions, we are doing recommendations, and so on. But what is missing, or what is sometimes desired, is like having a page and presenting that to your management, and that they can understand in 5 seconds what's going on in the company. So the idea of having a very complex but also very reduced in size, let's say 1 page of type of report that tells you everything about the company and how to do it, should fall into this dashboard. Then another one which is on hold is the digitalization. This is a very funny one because it's a buzzword. There are many buzzwords nowadays. Digitalization is one of them. I have realized that people think most of the time digitalization is something else than it is, or they have no idea what that is, or let's say because of the experience that they get or they don't get. It's a buzzword for one reason, because it's let's say it's seen in absolute terms as something fabulous, but it's actually something very simple. And of course, in such a course, I should stick to presenting what's out there, what exists in this area of digitalization, where and why it can work, why sometimes it's very hard to sell. If the companies which are in this area, operating in this area, let's say ERP developers, cloud computing solution developers, and all these companies are presenting a lot of advantages, I think in such a course I should also come with the disadvantages, with the risks and the threats associated to it, because there are some. And of course, somebody who's trying to sell you this will stick only to the positives always. And yeah, so I think this will be a very nice topic also to tackle from personal point of view. I started working, I said that I have also a little bit of experience in IT. I was basically implementing Oracle applications, so on ERP. I have exposure to SAP as well. A lot of literature. I know what's going on in more or less in this area around the world. Some things are good, some things are not good. The speed with which digitalization happens, it's maybe not as fast as desired by these companies. Of course, they want to sell more, but I understand why is it maybe in some areas happening not that fast. And yeah, so there are a lot of topics which can be discussed around this digitalization. Now, coming back to my script, we talked about the concept. So what kind of content you will be able to find under Udemy and under Patreon. As I have said, the finance and for non-finance exists already. It will be uploaded in no time, so the presentation exists, it's safe. It will be uploaded in no time. I will just have to define how much it will cost and what kind of memberships, so how much it will cost for Udemy, and what kind of membership tiers, and what will be the benefits for owning a subscription on Patreon. Now let's move a little bit to the target audience, who can benefit from the presentations that I'm about to do. Of course, if we move, as I have said, if we move into talking about companies, talking about macroeconomics in certain countries, globally, or investments or things like this, the target group or the audience will expand exponentially. But for the financial and accounting education, so for this starting point of my endeavor, I have a few groups which are directly targeted. So first of all is the inexperienced FP&A employees, so basically the trainees, the ones doing internships in finance and accounting, the entry levels, whether they are fresh graduates or they want to do a change from financial accounting and boost their careers. Maybe they don't see it like that, but once you get into business partnering and you start talking with the potentially with board members, you are boosting your career. Even though you were thinking before that doing the sales accounting or something like that is very important. There are important things to do, more important things to do in accounting and finance, and that's the FP&A activity. Then, of course, the target are professionals without finance and accounting experience. Very important for them would be this finance for non-finance course. Then, if they want to go into the SWOT area, they can have interest points in the balance scorecards. Even Excel might help them if they need to use Excel extensively in their activity, even though they want to do it in finance and accounting. The course is still very much used for them. Then seasoned FP&A employees in search of additional knowledge. If we remember the IQ distribution chart, so that graph, that means that also between FP&A employees, 80 to 85% will be on the left side of a certain threshold, and that means that they still have a lot of learning to do. And I also think that I have a lot of learning to do also. I might or might not consider myself being on the right side of that threshold, but certainly such topics that I'm presenting here are of very much interest, and they should be of very much interest for them. Then staff acting as interface between finance specialists and management. Yeah, you can get business partners which have finance background, like in FP&A, but sometimes it happens that they have a general background, or they are sales or management, and they need to somehow convey the information from finance to the managers. Some companies have very complicated structures. If you need to better understand finance, these courses, or not only the ones that I recommended for professionals without finance and accounting experience, but even the other ones, like a business case. The business case courses could be for such persons, for such people, of very much interest. And the business partners, as I have said. Then young entrepreneurs, because I'm talking about investments and credits, for sure they will be interested in learning, because if they are building a company, they will start having accounting and finance. Even if they have a company which is doing that for them, if they have like a very small company, so they don't have a very large accounting department, and it will be a very much help for them to understand that. Just as I have said, investments, business cases, things like this, they can always come in handy, even for young entrepreneurs that are launching their businesses. Yes, so these courses will not tell you how to market your products. They will not tell you how to find customers for your products, which channels, how to produce your products, and things like this. But they will help you on the finance and financial part of your activity. Basically, as a young entrepreneur, you need to first know that if you are selling a product, the price of your product should cover at least the variable costs for producing that product. If it doesn't, then that's not a very good idea of doing it, for example. And also, if you are a new manager in an organization and you have gained financial responsibilities, like dealing with budgets, and you had absolutely no contact with finance and accounting before, very reduced contact, and now you need to do a yearly budget for your function or for your department or whatever, and you need to understand what's going on. These courses are also a very good idea, and maybe not all of them, but a few of them will be also a very good idea, like knowing the difference between a variable and the fixed cost, and what kind of costs you have, whether you are an overhead department or a direct production cost generating department, and so on, can be very beneficial for you. And that would be about it, about the target groups as defined. The target groups for I repeat, for the finance and accounting, education channel, the target groups are increasing exponentially if we change topics and we go into personal finance, for example. Everybody has personal finance, how to manage your own money. It's a topic of interest for everybody. But right now, let's stop and let's go back to the normal camera. And that being said, since we talked about the target groups, I think I'm pretty much done with my script. So you see, I have a script, and here's the target groups. A lot of things remain to still be defined. I have actually a very detailed plan of what I want to do, not only in terms of channels. For example, I said that I will use Udemy, but there are other education channels, and if I just copy the presentation and the courses on other platforms, for videos, there is only one platform, unfortunately, this one we are using right now. I don't like it, but it's the reality. Maybe we'll do some other things, like I'm thinking about products with quotes and interesting things. If you want a mug that says something smart, maybe I can do that also. The sky is the limit, basically, and it all depends on your wishes and expectations. So once again, thank you very much for listening to me. This is recorded on 1st of May. The thunderstorm, which I promised you, didn't start yet, although it should in maximum 10 minutes. I will, if you are seeing this video very close to it being launched, that means most likely we know each other, because I have advertised it in my network on LinkedIn and other channels and to my acquaintances, and that's how you see it so fast. If you see it later, there is no problem. Once again, I'm Alex Petrescu. I'm trying to teach you finance and accounting and many other things, I hope. Or not teaching you, but we can have intelligent discussions. Here will be on, as I have said, on YouTube, it will be mostly entertainment, because this is how this channel works. The intellectual exhibitionism in the beginning will take place on Udemy and on Patreon and potentially other platforms. If that doesn't work and YouTube works very well, then we will move the intellectual exhibitionism here as well. So once again, thank you very much, and I hope it was enjoyable and pleasant for you as it was for me. Bye!